Garen, looking at the Australian squad, being captained by Aaron Finch, you got some sort of old names there like Shane Watson, Doug Bollinger. Australian Test side has just concluded a series against Pakistan, getting smashed by Pakistan. Is there any chance of some of those one-day specialists like Mitchell, Warner coming back?
Yeah, look, I mean, you're talking about Aaron Finch first of all, and he's tailor-made for 2020, hits the ball hard and a mile, much like David Warner as well. And Australia, like you said, just been thumped by Pakistan in Abu Dhabi in a test series. They'll be thrilled to be on the plane back home, where South Africa have been now for a couple of days already. So interesting there. You got Australia coming off a test series, going straight into 2020. South Africa having played 50 overs now, heading into a 2020 series. So, on paper, the Australian team, squad for the series looks far stronger than the South African one to me. As Rob said, it's a batsman's game, 2020 cricket. No matter how well you tend to bowl, you're still going to get carted around the park. So Rabada, for me, is going to struggle no matter how well he bowls. He's going to go for 35, 40 runs if he bowls the 4 overs. He's not going to come out of this series with any glory. Nobody's going to sort of say, it's fantastic to see how well he bowled, because I think he's going to struggle, and he's a novice, obviously. I would have liked to have seen players like Richard Levy, perhaps, 2020 specialists in the past, be included in this squad. I think he would have benefited more from this than some of the players they have picked. There's this belief in South African cricket that no matter what you do at sort of the 2020 domestic or 4-day series matches, you don't ever get the recognition or included at a higher level. So it is nice that like a Reza Hendricks, who has scored heavily in domestic cricket, has been included. But I think this is sort of the only level that you are likely to be included. You're not going to sort of vault from domestic cricket straight into an ODI or certainly not into a test team for South Africa. So this is sort of like the breeding ground, if you like, for the next level. Whether we win or lose, I don't think anyone really is going to care too much about this. Like I said, it's very much ODI orientated at the moment, with an eye on the World Cup. These three matches, are probably going to be sold out, just going to swell the coffers of Cricket Australia, and they're going to be happy with that. And then we're going to move into the far more serious ODI stuff with the ABs back, those sort of players. Hashim Amla's back, and then Australia obviously going to include some of their top players as well. But they have got a far stronger squad on paper than we seem to have picked for the series. Also have to mention that we did lose our only warm-up game against was it a Cricket Australia 11, who I didn't have any players that I actually recognised, to be quite honest, and they won fairly comfortably, in this final scoreline for a 20 over. It wouldn't by anything more than 20 runs in 20 over cricket. It seems like a bit of a hiding. So I think we've got our work cut out. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Australia bounce back from their test defeat against Pakistan and win the series, whether it's 3-0, 2-1, something like that. So I think, poor JP is going to have his work cut out as his only stint as national captain.
Rob, final question. I mean, as enticing as a one-day series against Australia is, and of course, getting some practice ahead of the World Cup, I'm sure the cricket purists will agree with me. It's a real shame that we're not playing Test cricket against Australia in the series.
Yeah, especially given that there's that ding-dong battle. We'd love to see them almost resume combat after they, of course, came to South Africa and nicked the series 2-1. And so, things are pretty neck and neck up at the top. And people are crying out, I think, to see a lot more strength versus strength Test cricket. And South Africa getting a little bit of a rough end of the deal there at the moment. We know this whole thing about the big three having taken over in cricket. And that big three, unfortunately, from a sort of economic point of view in cricket, doesn't include South Africa, which is very sad considering we are the top-ranked Test nation. I suppose the first things first is just to be grateful that it looks as though there might be a resolution to this West Indies crisis, and that we will at least get some Test series, some Test match action on South African soil this summer, because we are scheduled to play 3 Tests against the West Indies. Those are our only Test matches ahead of the World Cup, so it's a bit sad that the Test format is getting quite a serious downgrade this year, and we should beat West Indies comfortably, even if they come with a full-strength Test side to South Africa, given that they're sort of lowly ranking. But it's important that series actually happens, and developments earlier this week seem to indicate that perhaps the West Indies are going to resolve those issues, so we should see some of their best players coming here, which is the right thing. We desperately need them to be at full strength. But as you say, we do have Australia further up the line in tests again, so it's perhaps not the end of the world. The big focus this season is 50 overs cricket, so we've just done well to get these 5 matches in Australia, because it's a perfect opportunity to acclimatise.